Love espresso, drip coffee, and cold brew? With the Ninja Luxe Cafe, if you can crave it, you can brew it. Espresso, balanced. Drip coffee, rich. Cold brew, in a flash. With Barista Assist technology, you brew with no stress and no guesswork. And make perfect silky microfoam hands-free from dairy or plant-based milks. Bring the coffeehouse home and unlock your favorites with the Ninja Luxe Cafe.
Follow innovator, guide, and path creator Sarita Patel on a journey into our communal stream of consciousness. Sarita Patel has advised billionaires, film luminaries, artists, tech executives, makers, and visionaries on doing the right thing for themselves, our communities, and our world. Follow along as Sarita discusses all subjects, topics, and controversial thoughts and ways of life that have seen and unseen effects on all of our lives. One thing is for sure, jump into the stream with Sarita and you're going to get wet, but come out refreshed. Welcome back to Sarita in the Stream. This week, we're going to be talking about Gilligan's Island again, because we didn't finish that last time. And we kind of identified it as like Jungian archetypes and all the residents of this crazy island that no one can get off of forever. And they're stuck with their money, the Hollywood starlet, the simple Gilligan himself, the skipper, the professor, who apparently can't get him off the island, and Mr. and Mrs. Howell. Sarita, welcome back this week.
Hey, Latham.
Well, good to hear your voice. And after last week's episode, I really liked that. I think we just need to explore, and we're going to go in depth on these characters on the Gilligan's Island episode. Dun, 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 dun. So let's talk about the characters first. Why don't you review them for us,
Okay.
Sarita?
So I think it's also really great if we talk about Gilligan's Island, even for the younger generation, because the younger generation is dealing with their own cultural programming that's happening right now. And, you know, when I talk to my son about TV shows that I watched, he just goes, Mom, that's so old. But, you know, as we look at all the shows that we watched and the shows that our kids are watching now, there's this common theme of the archetypes of the characters. That doesn't really change.
No.
Right? So, and what I'm saying right now is not rocket science. It's known, but we're just talking about it again. So let's just go through the breakdown of the characters. And this is, you know, for anyone who's ever been in a writing room with other writers as you're doing character development, these are the primary archetypes that are in all TV, all film.
I want to add one character that we didn't include, okay?
Yeah.
And it's going to sound ridiculous. I want to include the SS Minnow as a character. Okay? The boat that takes them to their doom. It can't be repaired, and but it's on the shore, and they visit it occasionally. So let's keep that one in there too.
Wow.
So go ahead.
This is why I love working with Latham. Okay. So the first one that we have here, and again, I'm going to read these as they were developed by the writers. Gilligan is the sloth. His character is often portrayed as lazy, carefree, and prone to napping or goofing off, aligning with the sin of sloth.
Little buddy.
Little buddy.
Yep.
Lazy little kid. The professor, pride. The professor, with his extensive scientific and engineering knowledge, embodies pride, as he often relies on his intellect and skills to solve problems. Do you know anyone like that?
I know a couple of people like that, actually.
Have you ever been? I've been married to somebody like that.
I've never been married to someone like that, but I know people like that, for sure.
It's hard to make vacation plans.
Yeah, I've got some relatives like that.
Okay, then we've got the skipper, who symbolizes wrath. The skipper's frequent outbursts of anger and frustration, particularly towards Gilligan, align with the sin of wrath.
That sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
beating him with his little skipper cap all the time.
Well, he's just always telling Gilligan what he did wrong instead of encouraging him and teaching him and
he's not a very good
him.
captain. He's not a very good captain.
No,
you know,
that's a father figure.
He's kind of a Bligh.
Yeah.
Captain Bligh.
He's angry.
He is angry.
Yeah. He can't control his emotion. But the biggest thing is he's always picking on Gilligan.
True.
And Gilligan is so loyal to him, no matter what.
Yeah, he is the skipper's dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, continue.
Okay. So then we've got Ginger, and she represents lust. Ginger's character, with her focus on beauty and her attempts to attract attention, is often seen as representing the sin of lust.
Well, that's true.
So here lust is, Ginger is, it's the physicality, but it's also the lust of things. It's the lust of material goods.
Glitz.
It's the lust of position.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, then we've got Marianne, envy. Marianne's admiration for Ginger and her attempts to emulate her glamour could be seen as representation of the sin of envy.
I'm going to kind of diverge on that one a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I view Marianne kind of as that coquettish ingenue who doesn't know her sexuality. And I think that's a lot of people look at her that way. If you were to ask men of a certain age who they found more attractive, I think you're going to get a lot of Marianne.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely.
I posted something on my Instagram a couple of years ago of a picture of Gilligan's Island, and I wrote something like what we're talking about today on there, and that post got so many reactions, but it was from the men who said, I like Marianne.
Sure.
All right, so maybe Marianne, who was trying to emulate Ginger, but she was just so wholesome in her own nature, right? Because she couldn't afford Ginger's clothes. She was wearing her clothes.
Well, let's just be clear about this. Couldn't afford her clothes because they all had one outfit.
Ginger had more outfits.
Oh, I guess. I don't know. Go.
That's the other thing. I can't figure out where she got her clothes.
Where the hell did that come from?
The Thurstons.
Oh, wow.
But, okay, look at it this way. So with Marianne, she could be like all the housewives who sit in the Oprah Winfrey audience, right? They're nice women. They have nice families.
Mm-hmm.
They bake cakes. But they go to the Oprah show and they want to be just like Oprah.
Yeah, and they're looking under that seat for that free car.
They are.
They are.
So
it might be me today. I
right.
get a free car. You get a free car. You get a free car.
Free car!
Nice.
But so that is envy, though, right? It's wanting something that you don't have. And innocent people do that every day. So to be aware that you're doing that is one thing.
Yeah, she's kind of reflective about her simplicity, I think, a little too. I mean, I hate to read too much into Gilligan's Island, but you see little snippets of that too. Like she views Ginger as having perhaps more problems than she's able to deal with, perhaps.
Marianne at Ginger.
Yeah, she couldn't handle the load of problems that the looks and the sex appeal bring.
Like if she had that position.
Yes.
Right.
So,
okay. So, we're talking about Gilligan's Island so that you do read into
Yes, we are talking about Gilligan's Island. This is not Greek mythology, but
no.
Go ahead.
Okay, so let's just keep going. But it is a good one, right? And I like the Oprah audience or, any of the talk shows or any,
Sure.
take any, I'm a normal person, right? Remember I told you that story about how I used to go to work every day and I'd come into my office and say, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe who's on Oprah every day, right? And my boss and the people I worked with were like, oh God, here, we're going to have to listen to her for like 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And then one day I came into work and I didn't say anything about the Oprah show.
Yeah.
And my boss said, everybody just kind of looked at me and they thought something's wrong with her. And so finally somebody said, so Sarita, what happened on Oprah last night?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to talk about it. I didn't watch it.
Let's get back to Gilligan.
Okay.
All right.
That's another one. But okay, Marianne is a good one because people overlook Marianne.
They do.
Okay. But also remember, Latham, this was a TV show that was very popular for season after season after season.
It actually wasn't very many seasons. I think it was only 2.
Oh, it was the reruns.
Yes,
Right.
and it was filmed way before. I think if you look it up, I think it was filmed in like 64 or 6 or something like that. It was not in the 70s, I believe.
Okay. All right.
And it's one of these things that, much like the Flintstones,
Mm-hmm.
everybody looks at the Flintstones like, oh, well, that must have been in like 75 or something. No, I think the Flintstones were also recorded really early.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of these things that just became so popular.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike today, where we have endless access to so much content, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was content that was written as maybe a 1 or 2 season piece.
Right.
And it was never meant to go much farther than that.
So I wonder if something happened with the reruns because they ran out of content. We'll talk about that next.
Sure.
But, you know, there is no good content out right now. Very little, right? And that's why I think I'm flipping around looking for people who are talking about interesting things or
everybody's finding their groove now.
Yeah, exactly.
Back then it was just popular zeitgeist. You went there. I think what happened actually is that in Gilligan's Island season 4, whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
when it ended,
Mm-hmm.
is they all found out they were dead.
On the island.
Like Lost.
Right.
Oh shit, we're just dead. And we can't get the fuck off this island. Excuse my French.
They ran out of scenarios.
Yeah, the smoke dragon's going to get you now.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
So let's go back. We forgot the Howells. Okay.
No, the Howells are last. Okay, the Howells, gluttony. Howell's character is often portrayed as having a large appetite and a love for food, which could be interpreted as a representation of the sin of gluttony.
Certainly true.
Right?
And we talked about this on the last episode briefly about how in the world and why did Thurston Howell bring along a chest full of money on his supposed 3-hour tour? And it's kind of, let's get really crazy with the thought process here.
Mm-hmm.
Were the Howells, the rich Howells, were they plotting to have this accident happen, and they caused it because they wanted a controlled environment of guinea pigs that they ruled over, and they brought their own money thinking that would do them good? I don't know. It's very weird.
Or could it be like, the wealthy people taking their gold and jewels to go to their bunker out on a different island, and then some other force caused the weather to change, and then these guys were, stranded on this island.
On a 3-hour tour.
Yeah. So, you could break it up and go, what happened? And I'm looking at it as if there's too many parallels to today. Everybody's talking about the elites. There's not a channel that you can turn on where people aren't talking about billionaires and what they're doing with their money. And,
it's kind of weird.
It's
honestly.
super weird.
And it's like, I can't think it's not a precursor to something bad.
Right. So aren't you reading articles about where the billionaires are building houses?
Oh, sure.
Right. And some of them are just doing it. Some of them started a long time ago. But the Howells obviously had some plan, and they chartered a boat with all of their possessions to go somewhere safe. And guess what? They aren't safe. Right? I mean, there was nowhere.
Interesting. It was not the place, the destiny
that they expected.
The destination that they expected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's just one of these things that is like, when you look at this whole scenario, it's so unlikely. I mean, in so many other things, like every tribe or every person that they interacted with, their extraneous characters that visited the island, mm-hmm. whether it was the strangely Africanized natives, mm-hmm. quote unquote, that would visit them, mm-hmm. and they were not Polynesian, mm-hmm. and they weren't African, and they weren't Andean, or they weren't from South America. They were a nondescript ethnicity other than the white people on the island.
Right.
But they apparently, here in 1965 or whatever the year it was this was produced.
65.
65,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So these natives, quote unquote, had zero kind of exposure to the world. Very unlikely in 65. And then, of course, they had the castaway Japanese soldier, remember, that was also trapped on the island or arrived on the island. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, and obviously that happened in the 60s. I think they found 1 or 2 Japanese soldiers early in 1962 or something, living in some bizarre hideaway somewhere. But it's very weird that these interactions with the extraneous characters wouldn't reach out and try to help them. It was always like, ooh, we're going to take Ginger for our queen kind of thing, right?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And, or Marianne getting jealous. Why do they always pick Ginger?
Right.
It's like the Brady Bunch. Marsha.
Right.
Why is it always Marsha?
Right.
Right?
So all of these characters, they're real, right? They're real traits.
They're archetypes.
They're archetypes. And we get to see them on an island. And, you know, even if you wanted to look at Earth, this has nothing to do with globe or flat Earth, but we are an island of human beings.
We are.
And creatures. And, you know, we are visited by other human beings from other cultures. And now apparently the ET have landed, and that's all. Yeah.
We are.
Right. That's another episode.
Aliens under the pyramids. We'll talk about that one later.
But
that's,
you know,
for sure.
There's that, because you brought up Marianne and how come they always like Ginger. The Harlem Globetrotters were a traveling troupe of merry basketball players.
Oh, yes.
And they're on a plane ride over the Pacific Ocean when it suffers engine trouble and it's forced to make an emergency landing onto Gilligan's Island.
I didn't think it was big enough.
Well,
was it a seaplane?
I wonder if there was...
I remember the episode. I don't remember how they pulled that off, though. You know?
I think we're going to have to watch.
Was that Curly Neal in the original, Meadowlark Lemon, and the rest of the great ones from the Harlem Globetrotters?
Yep.
Oh my God, I remember those guys.
Yep. So that was a big deal, right? For the Harlem Globetrotters at that time to be on Gilligan's Island meant that it was a culturally important visit.
Yeah.
Basketball players.
Yeah. Ambassadors. World ambassadors.
Right.
Coming to the island.
And everyone, the Howells, Ginger, Marianne, all of them they all knew who the Harlem Globetrotters were.
Of course.
Because the sports people are, you know, globally known.
Well, so let's talk about just the individual characters of the men in this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the guy who you don't talk about a lot is the professor.
Mm-hmm. So
the professor could make a coconut radio that apparently really couldn't communicate with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
In radios, if you know anything about radios, you can basically reverse engineer a radio to transmit.
Mm-hmm.
And this didn't happen, or maybe it did happen. You know, I'm not sure, but it was always very weird that this great professor couldn't do much.
Well, so then it's the professor.
He certainly couldn't make a boat.
He couldn't make a boat.
Yeah,
he had lots of ideas.
Those guys were worthless with boats. I mean,
so you have the smartest person on the island, a scientist.
Yeah.
Right? And nothing worked.
And you had a captain and his first mate who apparently worked on boats all the time. And they couldn't make even a small rudimentary boat.
Well, because the captain is kind of like a general without skills, right? He just goes and keeps everything in line.
Still disappointing.
Very.
Very disappointing. I mean, I would have loved to see a couple of episodes of them failing violently trying to get off that damn island on a shitty boat, right? Mm-hmm. That never happened. Mm-mm. I mean, you kept sitting there going, why don't you take the planks off that dumb minnow and make a little boat? Or why aren't you burning crap all day, all night, and putting help signs on the beach like they did in that Tom Hanks movie?
Well, okay, yeah, that's a great question, but don't you think Gilligan tried to do that? I think Gilligan had a bunch of ideas, but he kept getting slapped down by the captain, which meant he wasn't even allowed to present those things to the professor.
Right.
Because the professor would always listen to the captain. Right? There was a hierarchy of communication.
Of stupidity. There was a hierarchy of stupidity.
Because of the hierarchy.
Yeah.
But Gilligan was the one who had some of the best ideas. They were just never... He had to go try to do everything on his own. And then, you know, he would screw up and then he'd get in trouble.
But let's talk about the Gilligan character, right? Mm-hmm. In terms of classical, theater, let's say. Mm-hmm. Is he the fool? Is he the all-knowing fool?
Yeah, I think
Is he that, or is he just a variant of that?
Well, the fool is actually
The smartest guy in
the
the play.
smartest guy. And so I look at the fool, like in a tarot deck or something, as the child, the innocent child, whose only job is to be nurtured and mentored and guided so that their imagination can take them to all the magical places and experiences of the world. The fool is the best card in the deck.
Sure. It's somewhat like your the hairstylist who knows everything about everything.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not, they're just an NPC for the person getting their haircut, right?
They're somewhere in the line of credits in the small print.
Right. But they're hearing, seeing everything.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk more about Gilligan.
Okay.
Do you think Gilligan, as the all-knowing fool, quote unquote fool, he kept them there on purpose? Do you think it was him? Is he actually the Maleficent character creating an environment where they're stuck permanently, where his gaffes and goofs and screw-ups were actually purposeful acts to trap the other people on the island?
Okay.
He always wore red.
I know, the devil. Yep.
Is that really who he is? Interesting.
It is interesting.
And by the way, to our listening audience here, we're not smoking weed right now or anything. This is just a real conversation about our thoughts about these old, shows. They're very weird things that are written well in a weird way.
Well, and you ask a good question because yes, they were written well. They also made a lot of money and they made an industry. Right. These actors went on to go do other things. I mean, this was an entire industry that.
Well, who was the producer of that show?
Starts with an S. Schwartz.
Sherwood Schwartz.
Yeah.
So Sherwood Schwartz. This is back in the day when none of those actors made residuals. None of them.
Mm-hmm.
They probably got 8 cents and a piece of toast and told to hit the bricks. Mm-hmm. Right. So Sherwood Schwartz is the only sole moneymaker in that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a couple of other people.
Yeah.
And I think he went on to do the Brady Bunch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of other shows. So that guy was a giant moneymaker.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But those bit part actors, basically, that great gig that's now in our zeitgeist forever, got nothing. And you see Gilligan, Bob Denver, when he was still alive, signing autographs to make pocket change,
Right.
And the rest of the actors, I think the skipper went on to do some other roles in things like Rockford Files and stuff like that. I'm not sure about that. Macmillan and Wife. He was actually a fairly popular actor.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Thurston Howell went on to, he was in Mad World with a cast of thousands of stars.
Jim.
Jim, what was his
Backus.
name? Jim Backus. And then I don't remember really ever seeing. So we've got to remember there's 2 gingers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 gingers, 2 different gingers.
Oh, that's right. There was the Tina Louise. She was the really pretty one.
She went on to Batman, did very well there, and actually created quite a career for herself. But there was the other ginger. Who was the other ginger?
I can't remember.
Well, if you got your Google out, let's see if we can find out.
Okay.
But then I remember seeing the professor on a couple of things as well. And I think Mrs. Howell went on to other roles in, film and stage and, the small screen, in bit parts everywhere. Mm-hmm. So I think Bob Denver is the guy who did the worst out of the whole deal.
Yeah.
Acting wise.
Right.
Because boy, did he get, well, the devil gets screwed sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah. So, okay. So there's a whole bunch of great YouTube videos on all of these TV show characters, right?
I'm sure
so that's
tons.
one thing. And I think what you and I are going through are these archetypical characters and how they do carry on over the cultures, right? And I'll find that other ginger.
Well, it was Tina Louise, and I can't remember. It was just much like in
How many actors?
Bewitched, there was the two Darrens.
Okay, here we got Kit Smith, Tina Louise.
Who's Kit Smith?
Kit Smith was in 1963. Then there was Tina Louise, 1964 to 1967. Judith Baldwin from 1978 to 1979.
Oh, that was in the rehash. That we don't even talk about that.
Okay.
That's some other
Well,
weirdness.
Kit Smith.
Kit Smith.
She was the first one.
Okay, I don't even know who
You know,
that is.
I kind of understand why some of these directors want AI characters, because to keep up with all these humans showing up for work on a set, I mean, we've both been on these sets. They're not easy.
With people dragging their chest full of money around, it's a real drag.
Mm-hmm.
Can you stop dragging the goddamn chest of money around?
Well,
set, it's making a lot of noise.
Well, guess what? I think people are trying to figure out what to do with their chests of money right now in 2025.
Right. I mean, so the takeaway on Gilligan's Island really for me is it represented fun, interesting, one of the 9 shows we all watched when we were kids. Because what are you watching? Our Gang, Little Rascals, Flintstones, you're watching Gilligan's Island, you're watching, what else? I mean, there wasn't very much on, right? Beverly Hillbillies, right? Another
Green Acres.
Green Acres.
We're going to do a Green Acres episode.
Yes, we are. Yeah, Zsa Zsa. I mean, it was a weird time, and to try to explain it to kids who are in their 20s, that there was virtually zero choice of your content, none. It was you watch cartoons at 3:30 to 5:30, and then your dad came in and yelled at you to get off the TV.
But I think that was a bit by design for the American programming experiment.
Another deep subject,
because,
absolutely.
Like I'm first generation, right? So my parents didn't. They would have preferred. Well, my parents didn't watch Bollywood movies. They were unusual Indian people, but I know a lot of Indian people who did have Bollywood movies going on. They weren't watching Brady Bunch.
No.
Okay. So in our house,
I can only imagine the comments that would have come out of your mom about the Brady Bunch.
Oh, Brady Bunch. Who wants to watch the Brady Bunch?
Who is Alice?
Where does Alice live? In the closet?
Yes. Where did Alice live? She must have just had some terrible cot in the back. Poor Alice.
Who is this Sam?
Who is Sam? And
Sam.
Are they getting it on the cot or what's
is
going on?
Is he the boyfriend? How come he doesn't marry her?
I don't know. I think they were actually both gay, and they just hung out together because it wasn't yet. You couldn't be out,
Right.
Interesting. Ann Davis.
Ann Davis.
As Alice.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
we're going to go down this road because I love these shows. There's so much to talk about, and they're just so funny because they're just so poorly done, but they're kind of brilliant in their poorness,
Yeah. And if you look at like life as a cycle, okay, just go with me here. I won't get too technical, but I do listen to a lot of people talk about doomsday and
oh yeah.
Okay, so
here we go, audience. Get ready, buckle up.
If you believe that like the game, the experiment lasts around 138 years, then if you take 1902 plus 138, you take us to 1930. So basically this game
No, 2030.
Oh, 2030, sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Or 2040.
2040.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so that's technically when the game is over, right? That doesn't mean
one game.
One game.
It's going to start another game, right?
And if the game is kind of fun, that doesn't mean that it's going to stop. That's just sort of a goal, a planning date.
Reset.
Right, a reset.
Right.
So, we're somewhere towards the end of a game, right? And so it makes sense for all these TV shows to do what they did. They programmed us. And we're all thinking the same thing. Now, in the last kind of 10 years, especially since COVID, nothing is consistent like it used to be. Like nothing is consistent.
Well,
not even family members.
Your deep thinking just put a terrible thought in my head that in 2040, we're going to have a guy called the Skipper be the new president. That'll be the new guy. No more presidents, just the Skipper and his little buddy.
Oh, God, that would be so awful.
It would be just terrible. It would be pandemonium, nonstop. No one be able to get out of bed. They're just like terrified. Are those off-island people going to come and invade us? Which sounds a little interesting right now, definitely. definitely.
Well, so guess what? You know what's missing on the island? There's no mom. There's no mom.
Good point. Good point.
What does a mom do? A mom provides love, nurturing, kind of keeps everybody together.
Yeah.
She might be sharp, but she is literally keeping everyone together.
So Mrs. Howell, Lovey,
Uh-huh.
did she have a name? It was
Oh my
Mrs.
God,
Howell.
it was Mrs. Howell.
And it was Thurston Howell. And I don't know. Do you remember a name for her?
No. So, we'll go back, and this isn't for the audience who's listening, who I know you probably are like, go get a job, but this is my job, is to explore. So
Don't tune out. It's going to get better.
If we don't remember the name, that means that we're not supposed to remember the name because she is Mrs. Thurston Howell.
Right. That was the archetype of this proper woman with the blued hair in a nice coiffed outfit, perfect jewelry, not caring, just indifferent,
Mm-hmm.
only worried about status,
Mm-hmm.
and only worried about position.
And her comfort.
Her comfort. Don't forget that. I mean, some of the best episodes, I think, of Gilligan's Island revolved around when Gilligan would make a fake bamboo Rolls Royce and drive them around. Incredible. I mean, just don't put any. And here's the other thing. I'm no like bamboo expert, but I know that you can make a goddamn boat or a raft out of bamboo. Okay, it's got those chambers in it, and I know you can do this.
Oh.
And again, why didn't they?
Right.
Anyway, so I mean, this is crazy town. Why don't we just end it there and talk next week about another interesting subject we come out with, because these things are kind of fun and different conversation pieces, and if you start thinking about it and analyzing it when you're like remembering your childhood and be like, yeah, what was I watching? What was that really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I wonder about Sherwood Schwartz.
Me too.
I maybe we should do a little episode on Sherwood Schwartz.
Well, let's do that. And, I just want to invite everyone in the audience to when you and I talk about these things, just like
Sure.
that day that I stopped talking about Oprah, that's because I saw something in me that was being affected by an external character on the TV set.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the way I was responding and reacting to somebody who I don't even know. I don't know Oprah. And I started to talk about Oprah. This was like in the 90s, as if she was my friend.
That was very common. Very, very common. And people would quote Oprah like you did. Mm-hmm. And they would say, oh my God, do you see this incredible thing that happened? I think I'm no Oprah fan, but I'm going to say that she was very much on the cutting edge of how to get somebody's attention.
She got all the housewives' attention. That's when everything shifted.
Yes, it was.
Okay. So I'm going to leave it at, sorry, I'm getting all excited because Gilligan, the kid, was not nurtured and there was no mother on the island.
That is true. Going back to that subject, there was no mom on that island. Marianne was as close as you got to a mom, but she's really just the cute girl next door.
Well, and what if she got pregnant? Then she kind of symbolizes all the cute young women who were single moms who didn't have the support. Now, I'm making a new chapter, but you know what I'm saying? There is a semblance of support and human evolution that comes when you have a thoughtful family structure that is supported by the community. And I think Gilligan's Island is a great example of a fractured group of people that were really there to support wherever the Thurstons were going.
Okay, so this conversation is getting deeper because now I'm thinking about Ginger. Why don't they hook up? Nobody on that island hooks up.
Mm-hmm.
So are they just eunuchs? I mean, that's another thing. Mm-hmm. What, in terms of the only people who had a relationship, whether sexual or just cohabitability, really, were the Howells, right? The other people basically lived somewhat solitary lives. They'd come together and have their little tiki parties or whatever they'd have, right? All the time they had some sort of thing going on. But it's really weird. Like, and and when you're a young guy and you're like, oh my God, that Ginger's so cute. You're conditioned to think that. But really, most guys liked Marianne because she was approachable, right?
Yeah.
But even Ginger, with her hyper-sexualized persona, ain't no sex going on there. No. Nothing. It was the land of celibacy, that island. Very weird.
Super weird.
On that note, let's call it a day, Sarita.
All right. Thanks, Latham.
Thanks, Sarita. And we'll be back next time with another interesting episode about something really ridiculous, but maybe interesting to you and me. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Sarita in the Stream. For more information, or if you'd like to appear on the show, contact us at latham@madmanastudios.com. That's LATHAM at madmana, MADMANA studios.com. This program has been a recording by Madmana Studios. All rights reserved. Copyright 2024.